Welcome everyone, and today we are gonna be discussing, should you really use the other semi-aquatics in Path of Titans? Now, I'm gonna be using the carnivorous ones as the main example, because it kind of makes more sense to do that. So we'll be discussing Spinosaurus, Sukumimus, and Sarcosuchus. And maybe Concavenator, I'm not too sure on that one. But anyway, if you're new here, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and let's get straight into this. Alrighty, so to start off with, we are going to be using Sukumimus as a baseline dinosaur for this video, because I really want to see what is the best semi-aquatic you can play that is a carnivore, except Megalania. Now, you know, before we get in, this is going to be my opinions in a video. So anyway, yes, let's get straight into that. Sukumimus. Why should you play Sukumimus? Let's think of some good reasons and some bad reasons. Well, good reasons, it's very versatile. And you know, so if you know me, you know I like versatile things. It has got many different abilities, and they all do different things. And you can also combine it with knockback builds, or land builds, water builds. Suku's basically got everything. Plus, if you're low health, and you're not on officials, and you can swap your abilities anywhere, oh, let me just heal myself quickly with thick scoots of 50%. That's ridiculous. Or ignore uphill, take less knockback, and then just clear effects and all of that jazz. Sukumimus basically has all you'd need for a semi-aquatic. But what does it lack in? Well, for one, in actual water combat, this thing is not going to do well. Look at this turning. This is my turning. I know I don't have swim stuff on, but yikes, this is bad. I mean, I can turn my neck into my leg, but when I bite, yeah, there's no luck there. And in general of swim speed, it's very slow. This thing is incredibly slow for a semi-aquatic in the water. Like, it's not, I'm not expecting it to be like a fish, but yikes, this thing is not quick. It could be made faster. So, Sukumimus. We have got the pros of, it's very versatile, it can have many different builds, and it's, you know, it's pretty good at doing what it does with those builds, depending on which one you use. And for the cons, we have got, it's bad at swimming, bad at turning in the water, and its water builds aren't very effective. Yikes. Okay. Right, so Sukumimus done. That is the baseline. Let's go move on to a smaller one. Alright, so Concavenator, the second one here. Could this surpass Sukumimus? I don't know. Concavenator is a bit of an odd one. It is a semi-aquatic that is mostly made for land. You also need to equip an ability to make it semi-aquatic, I believe. Yeah. But it's probably the best swimmer that doesn't naturally dive, which is crazy. You know, that's already really good. That's good on the point system. And in terms of builds, well, Concavenator, you can bleed out anything you want, really, with its kick. It's not a lot of bleed anymore, I don't think, but it's enough to the fact where you can, if you avoid getting hit, can just spam the kick and bleed anything out. I've done it, it's possible. But it also, it's a Concavenator, so it's small. So it works very well in groups, which means you can join any group of carnivores if there's mixed packing available. And you won't take up much room, so the slot limit's not an issue. And you can basically get in and out of any fight that you need to. You can help your team, and it's really good at, you know, chasing down things. Like, if you're with some Apexes, they're fighting an Iggy, they got it low, and it's like 2 hits from death, they can do the thing from the Crudes, and then just send out a Concavenator, and oh no, that Iguanodon is not escaping it, and it can't kill it if it's on that low health. The Concavenator could probably just bleed it out. However, Concavenator's downsides. In order to make it good at swimming, like really good, you need to equip loads of water abilities, and they sacrifice. You can no longer use kick if you have dive, can't use tail attack if you use padded tail, you lose your bleed healing if you use streamlined, and you lose your claw attack, which does pretty good bleed apparently. And nictating membrane, well, nobody ever uses that. No one's ever even heard of nictating membrane. But yes, Concavenator. So let's let's go back over its pros and cons. Its pros: it can work very well in a group. It's small, it doesn't take a lot of time to grow or fill up much of the group. It already is pretty fast in the water without any water abilities or dive, and it can do pretty much a lot of bleed to a lot of things in the game, especially since they got their bleed resistance lowered, like T-Rex and stuff. However, the cons. In order for it to be very good in the water, you need to sacrifice some really good abilities, and unfortunately, that means it kind of sucks in combat in water, because you can't have your kick, and you can't have your claw attack if you go full swim build. Now, you don't have to go full swim build, but it can't even kick in the water. And you also will need dive if you're fighting something like a Sarco. So, Concavenator, I'd say it's better than Suko, because it's better at doing what it's supposed to. And it can also be more useful in a group, where Sukumimus, it kind of sucks all around. It's very mediocre. But Concavenator, I'd say, is the better choice to play. However, let's go and have a look at less of a dinosaur. And of course, I'm talking about the one and only Sukumimus. Right, this thing. Is this gonna top Concavenator? Is it even gonna top Sukumimus? Well, here's the thing. Sarcosuchus is in a very tough spot. It's very old, it has not got very many abilities, and it's incredibly outdated compared to everything else on this list. But it's one of the most popular natural-born swimmers in the game. You know, most people play Concavenator or Spino, but Sarco, it's up there. You see them quite often. And the people that don't play it on modded servers will usually play Deinosuchus, because it's just Sarco but better. But anyway, Sarcosuchus, how do you fare up? Well, you are the only one on this list that can really drain oxygen and stamina. You can also grab, which you're, again, the only one on the list that can do that. It has a charge bite. Again, the only one that can actually do that, so that's pretty cool. Its regular bite does good damage. It has an ambush, it has drench blows, all of this water stuff. Sarcosuchus in general is made very much for water. And it's obvious why. Look at it. Look at this thing. Is it going to do well on land? No. But even then, it can still use Gator Dash on land to help get back to the water or chase something down. So, Sarcosuchus, in terms of aquatic ability, I honestly would put this thing above Concavenator and above Sukumimus. You know, with how fast this thing swims, you could literally just find a Suko and spam the charge bite, or maybe even drown it. You know, you just swim as a Sarco, charge up the bite the Suko, get out of there before it can turn around and get you. Job did. Can do the same for Concavenator easily too. The only issue you might have is a full swim build conch, because that thing is nasty quick. But then again, you could just clamp it and hold it in the bottom of the water. So, Sarcosuchus, you know, let's go over its pros and cons first. So, its pros. It is extremely good in the water. Like, extremely good. And it also has many ways of dealing with other semi-aquatics in water combat. And that's where its that's where its pros stop. Its cons. Not very good on land. It is not very versatile either. It is literally mostly for water that it actually can play for. And it also isn't the best with its stamina. Like, even in the water, its stamina isn't the greatest. I'm pretty sure it has about the same as Spino, which, considering this thing's not as strong, because it lacks health, like, this thing lacks a lot of health, which is also another one of its cons. It doesn't last long in fights if it gets hit. It's a bit of a glass cannon. But Sarcosuchus, I would say, is better than Suko and better than Concavenator. Now, let's go and have a look at the last one on the list. Spinosaurus, yes, the giant apex of this entire game. It's so damn big, I don't get why. But anyway, Spinosaurus. What is this thing? You know, how good is it in water? Well, for one, it can be the fastest aquatic in the game, except for actual aquatics. I meant semi-aquatics. Yeah, semi-aquatic is the fastest semi-aquatic in the game, potentially. Because you can have a 10% swim speed sub, then you can have another 10% speed and turning with web claws, then another 10% swim speed and turning with streamlined, and then another 10% swim speed and turning with paddle tail. You can have 40% speed, 30% boosted turning in the water as Spinosaurus, which already isn't even that bad in the water. Like, this thing's already that good, and you can boost it by so much. Now, why does that matter? Well, for one, you can make it quicker than Sarco, turn better than Sarco, and it will just outstamp Sarco, I'm pretty sure, which sucks, because that means Sarco will just die in like 10 bites, and the Spino, because of how damn tanky it is, it's basically Sarco missing some of the really good bites, but it's fixed that issue of being a glass cannon by a mile. Now, of course, we're not just talking about water combat. I know I've been focused on that mainly, but when it comes to general combat, Spinosaurus is the better of all three, or all four of these creatures. Concavenator, good at running in and out. Sarco, pretty okay at ambushing once or twice. And then Sukumimus, good stamina, good speed, but it sucks in fights. And then you've got Spinosaurus, very slow, not much land stamina, but this thing has the potential of such tankiness and general use of range with its bite and its stomp and its tail knockback. It just puts the others to shame. And, you know, let's just go over its pros and cons, really. Okay, so, pros for Spino. It's insanely tanky, has good knockback, and it's very versatile in how it can fight. It can either go full-blown out, bite you in the water, or it can come on land, stomp and tail attack you, and you can barely touch it. And then we get to its cons. You need to swap off some pretty good abilities to be able to swim. You know, tough scoots, that's 15%. And then you also miss out on your tail attack and the armor sub if you want to go full swim speed. So you miss out on that. Its stamina on land is bad. It's pretty slow on land. And that is basically where its cons end. It hasn't really got any for the water either, because you can have both of your good... You can have your good claw attack and web claws at the same time. Spino doesn't have an issue with that, unlike Sarco, where you need to swap stuff off, or Concavenator, where you need to swap stuff off. Spinosaurus basically got the all of the right picks. You know, the only thing it's missing is different amount of abilities, like it could have more than one bite and claw, but I'm pretty sure we'll get that in its TLC. But anyway, I'm pretty sure this wraps this video up. Spinosaurus is the absolute king of semi-aquatic carnivores in Path of Titans. It is unmatched. Like, this thing, you can basically kill any of them with it, and... you know, for that reason, Spinosaurus takes the cake. Then we have got Sarcosuchus, then Concavenator, and then poor little Sukumimus crying in the corner. Oh, Alderon, why'd you butcher him? I mean, it was never really any good, was it? Anyway, if you have made it to the end of the video, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you feel like it, and have a wonderful day. That is the most important part. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.